Hey there, all you lovely Longhorns. It's Miss Campbell, and today we're going to go through solving quadratics by factoring. This is the main way that you are going to solve quadratics in geometry. We give you things that you can factor easily. So to factor an equation written as ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, you need to find two numbers that multiply to c and then add up to b. Okay, so the key thing here, you have a quadratic. The a, b, and c, those are the numbers in front of your x's or the constant term there on the end. So in example 1, a would be 1, because there's a 1 in front of that x squared. B would be this positive 10, and c would be this positive 25. So there's a refresher on that. Also, a key thing is to make sure that your quadratic is set equal to 0 before you begin to try to factor. If it's not equal to 0, then it's not going to work. So let's go on ahead and we will get started. Our first example, we need to find two numbers that when we multiply them, we're going to get 25, and then when we add them together, we're going to get positive 10. So the way that I do this is I make a little T-chart. I start over here, I write down the number that they need to multiply to, so 25. You can put a dot to remind yourself that they're multiplying. And then I put the number that they need to add to over here. And again, you can put a plus to remind yourself that you're adding the two numbers to get to 10. So 25, what are two numbers that multiply to make 25? Okay, well, 1 and 25. Okay, there we go. How about, and I need positive, so we have to start thinking about signs here. What if you do a negative times a negative? That's going to give you a positive, so it could be negative 1 times negative 25. Okay, or we have 5 times 5, or negative 5 times negative 5. So all these factors, they multiply to be 25. Now let's take the two individual factors, add them together, and see what we come up with. So the first thing I'm going to do, 1 plus 25. 1 plus 25 is 26. Negative 1 plus negative 25 is negative 26. 5 plus 5 is 10. And negative 5 plus negative 5 is negative 10. Okay, so now look down this column here on the right-hand side. Look for that 10, a positive 10. Well, got that from 5 and 5. So you go to the side and you set up two sets of parentheses. And since they're both positive, it's going to be x plus 5, x plus 5. And this has to be equal to 0. Okay, so now you have to take each of these parentheses and make it its own equation and set it equal to 0. So x plus 5 equals 0, and x plus 5 equals 0. Okay, now we have to solve these. So I need the x alone. How do I get rid of the plus 5? Minus 5. Same thing over here. So plus 5 minus 5 cancel. What is 0 minus 5? It's negative 5. So x is equal to negative 5, and it happens to be a repeated root. So x is negative 5. Okay, excellent. Our next example, okay, first off, let's check, is it set equal to 0? Yes, that's very good. Now we're going to go through, we're going to look, okay, I need two numbers that are going to multiply to be negative 6. And then here, my b is actually, it's negative 1, okay? It's whatever number is in front of that x term. Since it's just x, there's a 1 that's understood there. So you have to remember, it's negative 1 there. So we're looking for two numbers that when we multiply them, we get negative 6. And then when we add them, we get negative 1. So let's see. I can do negative 6 times 1, or I could do 6 times negative 1, or I could do 3 times negative 2, or I could do negative 3 times 2. So let's see here. What's negative 6 plus 1? That's negative 5. What is 6 plus negative 1? Positive 5. 3 plus negative 2 is 1. And negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. So it's going to be our last set here. So we have x, and then my first factor is -3, so x minus 3 goes in one set of parentheses. And then we have x plus 2, which goes in my other set of parentheses. And again, that's equal to 0. Now, each of these, we have to find where each of these parentheses is equal to 0, because in order for you to get 0 when you're multiplying two things, at least one of them has to be equal to 0. So that's why we take these each individually and see where they are equal to 0. Okay, so x minus 3, well, I'm going to add 3, and so that will give me x is equal to 3. Or, because they're different numbers actually, here we have plus 2, so I'm going to subtract 2. So x could be equal to 2. And there we go. All right, our next example, this one, it's not set equal to 0 right away. So first we have to move this -7 over to the other side to get this quadratic set equal to 0. So I'm going to add 7 because that's the opposite, and you add it to the constant term because it's just a plain number. So I have x squared minus 7x, then I had 5 and I'm adding 7, so it's going to be plus 12, and that's equal to 0. So now make your chart. Okay, and the chart is there to help you guys, you know, as you're able to factor quadratics better, you're not always going to need the chart, but it is a tool for you to use. So we need two numbers that are going to multiply to give us positive 12, but then they're going to add up to -7. So you got to kind of think here, okay, is one of my things going to be positive and one negative? Are they both going to be negative? You know, because we've got the different signs in our numbers. So 12 times 1 give me 12. Okay. A -1 times a -12 would give me positive 12 as well. 6 times 2, or -6 times -2. Or we have 3 times 4, or -3 times -4. So these would all give me positive 12 when I multiply them. And now I'm going to add them. 12 plus 1 is 13. -1 and -12 is -13. 6 and 2 is 8. -6 and -2 is -8. 3 and 4 is 7. Well, we're getting close there. -3 and -4, -7. Perfect. That's what we need. So those are our two factors, -3 and -4. So we have x minus 3 and x minus 4 is equal to 0. And again, solve each of these individually. Okay, add 3 to both sides. So x would be 3, 4. Over here, we're going to add 4 to both sides to cancel out that -4. X would be 4. So we have our two zeros. All right, last couple. So now we have x squared plus 8x equals 3x plus 6. Okay, we need to move this 3x plus 6 over to the left-hand side so we can get the right-hand side to be equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 3x and I'm going to subtract 6. And I got to do that over here. So I'm going to subtract 3x and I'm subtracting 6. Just remember, whatever you do on one side of the equal sign, you do on the other. So we have x squared plus 8x minus 3x minus 6, and then the right-hand side will be 0 now. So we'd have to combine like terms here because we have these two x terms. So x squared, and then 8x minus 3x is 5x minus 6. And then now do your little chart. Our two numbers have to multiply to be -6, and then when we add them, we want to get positive 5. So think about that. What if we tried a 6 times -1? Is 6 times -1 -6? Yes. If I do 6 plus -1, do I get 5? Yes. So there's my factor right there. So now I have x plus 6 and then x minus 1. So x plus 6 equals 0, and x minus 1 equals 0. Well, when I solve this one here, I'm going to get x is equal to 6, sorry, negative 6, or x equals 1. And those are my two roots. All right, last one. We have this x squared plus 8x minus 9x minus 30. To move these two terms over to the left-hand side of my equation, I'm going to add them. So I'm going to end up with x squared plus 8x plus 9x plus 30 equals 0. And combine like terms, so x squared plus 17x plus 30 equals 0. Make a little chart. Needs to add up to multiply to 30 and then add up to 17. Okay, think about the factors of 30. What are the only ones that would get you to 17? 15 and 2. So, and it's got to be the positive ones because we need them to add to positive 17. So 15 plus 2 is 17. So I'm going to have x plus 15 and x plus 2 equals 0. Okay, x plus 15 minus, subtract 15 from both sides. So x could be equal to negative 15 or have x plus 2 equal to 0. So take away 2 from both sides. X could be equal to negative 2. And there you go. So that's a quick review over solving quadratics, and hope that helped you out, and I'll see you guys next time.